Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report for the channel. Today we're playing an 18 threat match between the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Black Order. So they're fighting over the Infinity Stones essentially, and there is some Infinity Stones in play as well. We'll cover that though as we look at the specifics for both sides playing on the table layout that you can see before you. Behold your Guardians of the Etc. being led as always by Starlord, and Starlord has the Infinity Gem of Power, so he's getting 3 power in total in each power phase, so he'll be spamming those element guns. He's being joined by Guardians, Rocket Raccoon and Gamora, and also Agent Venom is part of their affiliation bonus as well, as the dog just knocks into my knee for the second video in a row recording wise. Thanks for that. And then Captain Marvel is also here, and their tactics cards, if we just come over here, it was a bit awkward. Crew of the Milano, Lovable Misfits, Unearthly Rage, Foreign Assignment, which is a new one from Agent Venom. It's kind of like the one where Rogue does different stuff based on which mutant is nearer. He does different stuff based on which Guardians are near him. And then also No Matter the Cost. And another little bit of an awkward angle to get a view on the Black Order, but here they are. So we have Thanos, we have Proxima, we have Corvus, and we have Black Swan. Thanos is taking the Reality Gem, so I guess they're here for the Power Gem that Peter has. And their tactics cards, if we just come over here, Power of the Cosmos, Mothership, Price of Failure, Execute, and Blood to Spare. I think this is the first time we've seen Thanos back on the table, because the tactics card that makes Corvus a leader instead is more useful, I feel. But Thanos is just so powerful and fun, so he's back again today. And the eagle-eyed amongst you will already have spotted what missions are being played today, more or less. The threat value being played is the Extraction 18, and it's the Fear Grips the World is Worthy. Terrorize Citizens, it's the classic, it's the hammers. It makes people hit harder, but tactics cards cost more. The 17 threat secure is Riot Sparks over Extremis 2.0, it's 3.0, sorry, didn't it used to be 2.0? Either way, you can interact with the console to remove 1 health from a character or days within 2, and you score 1 VP for each hammer you hold, 1 VP for each console, and they both use layout D, so it is console and hammer. Just pull back here, console and hammer, and you better believe console and hammer, they're slightly offset just so we can show that they're both there. The hammers will be getting lifted up early anyway, so we'll get deployed. So we're all set up and good to go. The Guardians of the Galaxy are deployed on your left and the Black Order are on your right. The Guardians have taken first activation. The Black Order will have a pass if they choose to use it. We can just quickly look at where they are because there's only 4 of them. Husband and wife together down here, Proxima and Corvus, and we have Thanos and Black Swan up here. Oh, I accidentally said that the Extremis consoles you could get rid of days. No, it's you pick a non-days character within 2, just to correct a word stumble. Guardians over here, Agent Venom down here with Captain Marvel, Rocket kind of in the middle there. Looking to guard that back point because he is fragile without Groot to protect him, and then Peter and Gamora are over this side of the building right here. So with that, we are ready to jump in, get this game started. Once hammers are picked up, I'm sure fists will fly and it will result in a speedy conclusion. I don't think this one's going to go to points, honestly. I think if the Black Order really focus on battering the Guardians, might see it just be a tabling. Agent Venom got the game started, moving up medium twice, putting himself just within 1 of the Extremis console there, paying his 1 power he started with in the power phase to pick up the hammer there to try and rob Proxima or Corvus from just nipping in. So it would be over to the Black Order now. They're most likely using a pass though. We'll see for sure in a second. Oh, never mind, no pass. Black Swan activated and basically did the exact same move that Agent Venom just did, moving medium twice to get on this flank's Extremis console just within range 1. Paid her 1 power and took the hammer that was sitting there as well. Rocket activated and moved up to the far side of the central Extremis console here on the Guardian side of the table. He is not picking up the hammer there, he's saving that for Captain Marvel. He wanted to move into position and shoot with his range 5 gun at Black Swan, but if you just see the range marker there, it is just touching his base. That is literally like 1.5 millimeters, but he is just out of range. So he's doing nothing with his other action because he wants to stay back to hold this console so everyone else can go forwards. Proxima Midnight activated and decided to choose that violence is the best course of action. She moved up along and then used Spear Throw on Agent Venom. Totally forgot once again that Agent Venom is a symbiote, so he's got awful energy defense. It's 2 dice. She got 4 hits, no wilds. A wild would have caused poison, but she got 3 hits and a crit. And Agent Venom's 2 energy defense was 2 crits, which converted into a crit and a wild. So he took no damage, but she gets placed within 1 of her target after it's resolved. doesn't need to do damage. So that moved Proxima up so that she's contesting the Extremist console. Captain Marvel activated and ended up doing kind of a diagonal move. Once medium over to here to get within one of the console to pay 1 power to pick up the hammer that Rocket had ignored. She was out of range to do her range 4 energy blast into Proxima or Black Swan, so she just moved medium again, which got her that far. She's not contesting the console there, so if Corvus Glaive decides to go down there, the Black Order are going to hold that one for the turn. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, Corvus decided to secure points this turn, murder later, so he had to move medium twice despite his big base to get into contesting range here. So they are going to hold it for the turn because Gamora and Peter can't get this far to contest it. But that does kind of abandon that one and the hammer there, unless Thanos is willing to go over there, which would potentially be a waste this turn. I guess we'll see. Well, in order to force the issue, Gamora activated down there by Peter. One long move wasn't enough to get to the Extremist console. She did just move twice, but that means it's a draw on that console now. Thanos doesn't have the movement to go after the other console's hammer and get there at the same time. There's a very loud truck outside. So he's going to have to choose between the two, and Peter could always just go over there and make it a draw again anyway. Well, Thanos made his decisions. He moved within one of this console, paid 1 of his 2 power to pick up the, cube fragment, the hammer, and then opted not to use his other action. He's just staying there to secure that console for the turn, and much like Corvus, it just intends to focus on murdering from turn 2 onwards. Peter Quill's the last activation for the entire first round, and he just moved up twice, so that between him and Gamora, they have held this console here from Black Swan, and will be getting the victory point for it in the scoring, which, on that note, we are going to right now. So the end of a very swift battle round 1 in which there was only 1 attack and it resulted in no damage despite the character being attacked having only 2 defense against it. Everything is even Stevens. So the Black Order, Thanos and Black Swan have a hammer each for 2 victory points. Thanos is holding the back Extremist console and Corvus and Proxima are holding this one. So they have 4. The Guardians, let's see who's got a hammer. Captain Marvel's got a hammer and Agent Venom's got a hammer. And Rocket is holding this console, and Peter and Gamora are holding that one. So, yep, both sides have 4. As we go into battle round 2, the Black Order have first activation. Now they could use a pass, because they've got first activation. But I imagine they'll mostly just want to focus on murder. Well, it was the being of immeasurable power himself, Thanos, that got battle round 2 started, choosing indeed to pick violence, so that's why he's just abandoned this Extremist console. We're going to have to come around this end of the table to see where he is and what he did. He moved up, and with that hammer in hand, he was doing 7 dice with his basic strike. He unleashed that into poor Peter Quill and one-shot him. Did 6 damage. Remember, he does have the Reality Stone, so 1 skull he rolled counted as a crit. Peter only managed to block 1. His initial roll had none. He used Plucky Attitude to get that reroll and still only blocked 1. So that's why he got 1 shot. I did forget to mention it's not related to here because he used Plucky Attitude. But I did forget to mention that the Winging It tokens for Guardians, in order to just reduce the amount of clutter on the table, are being kept on their cards. I should have said that at setup. I totally forgot. I apologise. But he doesn't have one. That was just Plucky Attitude. And it didn't save him anyway, because he got 1 shot. He's sitting on 10 power now. He was pretty close to that anyway, thanks to holding the power gem. Then Thanos spent 2 on a cosmic portal to teleport Black Swan 2 towards this direction, because she has her eyes on an animal. Well, Agent Venom got a bit of a taste of his own medicine there, opting to hold on to a Winging It token for defense later in the turn. He used Clintar Firepower, up 1 dice because of the hammer he was holding, into Corvus because he didn't want to feed power to Proxima with all her energy attacks, and he fully blocked it. He rolled a couple of crits in his defense roll. Was hoping to get a couple of power off of that to then move in Web Swing to get him really safe, but instead all he could do was then retreat, because otherwise they're both just going to murder him. Black Swan activated, and from where she started, she did her basic, I think it's just a strike, 5 dice up to 6 with the hammer she was holding, into Gamora with a push on a wild, but the push just would have pushed her back into the car she's kind of lodged in. Did no damage, like very, very under par, did no damage. Needed to generate a power off of that so that she could then charge into Rocket, that was the plan. Instead, she spent the 1 power she had on an I-beams with Pierce on wilds, into Rocket, who always counts as having cover, so he blocked 1 extra. Still managed to do 2 damage to him though, so he's only got 1 health left. And it set him on fire, but didn't take him out, and that's the important part, because he's still going to get an activation unless I don't know, Proxima could go finish him off probably, but that's this side of the table done for the Black Order. Well, Itty Bitty Rocket Raccoon did activate. He shook his Incinerate for first action. He paid 1 power to interact with the Extremist console to heal 1 damage. And then he just fired with his normal basic 0 cost into Black Swan. Managed to get her for 2 damage. So giving as good as he got, more or less. Didn't do anything else though, and is just staying there. He's back to 2 health remaining, and that might mean he survives a hit thanks to always being in cover. She is down to 4 health remaining. Second last activation for the Black Order was Proxima Midnight. She immediately threw her spear again at Agent Venom again, and once again Agent Venom fully blocked the damage on 2 defense dice. He did use the Winging It token this time, for the record, but he had 1 crit in the initial roll, and he fully blocked it. Like, no matter how this match ends up going, he's MVP just because he has taken 3 hits now that he should have taken a lot of damage from and has taken literally nothing. Either way though, she still got placed within 1 of him despite doing no damage. So she got put on the far side of him and then did the same thing again, except this time aiming at Rocket, and did what can only be called overkill to one little raccoon with 2 health left. Got him for 5 and has dazed him. Placed within 1 again, putting her next to the Extremist console. You can use that twice per turn, can't you? I've just had a sudden moment. Yeah, you can. Spear throw, yep, you can. Okay. So yep, that's where she is now, and it's over to, well, Peter isn't getting an activation thanks to him getting dazed, so it's over to Gamora or Captain Marvel. Well, of those 2 Gamora activated, she started just by doing her basic attack on Black Swan, managing to get the bleed because it procs no matter what, and only 1 damage, which didn't give her enough power to do a Cosmic Assassin, although as it turns out, that was good, because another basic attack spiked for 4 damage, and that dazed Black Swan. She dropped the hammer she was holding, Gamora paid 1 to pick it up, and she was going to spend 2 to then chuck herself into Thanos with an Assassin's Leap, but that would put her just outside of one of the Extremist consoles, so she's holding off. Oh, she did use her Winging It token for attacking, but yeah, she's not attacking Thanos because that would put her out of range of the score, so she's just going to hold on to that point because Peter can't. So it's over to Corvus now, and then back to Captain Marvel. Well, Corvus simply hopped to the other side of the Extremist console he's holding to try and force Captain Marvel's hand. He did an Atom Smasher, range 4, only 4 dice energy, into Agent Venom, and it turns out he can bleed. He managed to get him for half his health, I think, 3 damage, and finally an energy attack went up against 2 energy defense and did something. Although he did roll a blank and a crit, and the crit converted. So his defense roll for how many dice he was still rolling was still really good, but that time not good enough. Well, Ms. Danvers ended off the turn and went after Corvus, who is now not where he was, with a basic attack backed up by the hammer she's holding, of course, and it spiked. Did 5 damage, reduced down to 4 because of his reduced damage by 1 thing, which sadly Black Swan does not have. Got him for 4 as a result, and then spent 3 of the power off of the back of that to pick him up with Danvers special and just chuck him down the street. Wasn't worried about knocking him into something, just wanted him off the objective and a little bit further away from Proxima and a little bit further away from Agent Venom. She then, as her other actual action, since Danvers special is just a superpower, she moved to hold this Extremist console, and with that we are going to scoring. So at the end of a bloody battle round 2, we're seeing a few characters flip over their card. Peter and Rocket for the Guardians, and Black Swan for the Black Order. The Black Order scoring: Thanos has a hammer, and Proxima stole the console down there from Rocket for a total of 2 victory points, taking them up to 6. The Guardians have the other 3 hammers now though. They hold this console, and Gamora is holding the one on the other side of that building there. So they gained 5, taking them up to 9. So they're now way out in front, but if the Black Order start killing people while Thanos is on his healthy side, they get extra VP, and that'll be where they try and draw things back, I think. They're also taking first activation again, as we go into Battle Round 3. So Battle Round 3 got started with Black Swan wanting to spend some of the power burning a hole in her pocket. She used 2 for a charge, and went after Rocket Raccoon, hoping her basic 5 dice strike would be enough to take him out. She got 2 hits through, which, thanks to using a Winging It token, he fully blocked. So then she went a little bit OTT and spent 4 power on Everything Dies, her 8 dice physical, with a throw on a wild and I believe a follow-up as long as you get a hit, but the follow-up is I-beams and it has to be the same target, sadly, so not relevant here. But she got him for 6 down to 5 because of cover, and Rocket Raccoon is out of there, which does mean that Thanos' affiliation bonus kicks in at that point, and they score 1 VP, taking them up to 7. But she had to use both actions. Her ideal turn would have been the charge taking him out, and then she could have done an I-beams from where she is over here, maybe take out, or not take out, but daze Agent Venom for the turn. That would have been the ideal, but take what you can get. Agent Venom activated and decided that was a scary place to be, so he spent 2 on a web swing to be placed within 3, which put him over here. As it turns out, he could have just done a normal move. He did a basic attack, range 4, up to 6 dice with the hammer he was holding on Corvus. Got him for 3. Oh, actually, that would reduce down to 2. Would that matter? No, it wouldn't, because he's got 4 damage on him. It would actually be 2 damage. That still takes him to 6 on his healthy size, so yeah, nothing has changed. Corvus is dazed and will not be getting an activation this turn. It does mean he has 1 more action, so you know what? You might as well just shimmy this side a little bit to be even further away from Proxima and her spear. Oh, we are interrupting play there because Blood to Spare is being used at this point. Corvus is spending 3 to use this card. It lets him do an attack before he dazes, and he spent 4 to do a death blow on Agent Venom, and it was fully blocked, but it involved a medium move, which I presume still happens, so he's there. And it does a follow-up strike as well if you get a hit in a shield, which he did. The follow-up strike managed to do 1, but once again Agent Venom, granted he had 4 defense dice this time, but he is just defending like a boss. So now Corvus is dazed, and that's that card used up. Well, Thanos activated for the Black Order next, and he stayed perfectly still, making him near invisible. And he did 2 Cosmic Blasts for his turn, 5 dice energy, range 3, but he can sink in up to 3 other power to add in 3 dice, plus he's holding a hammer, so that took it to 9 dice. He did the first on Peter, and it did 5 damage, despite a wing token, and that removed Peter from the game, so he didn't get to do anything. I know it's not how it works, but it would be neat if he dropped the power gem and Thanos could just take it, because that's why he's here, I guess. That gives them 1 more victory point, taking them up to 8. He then did another 9 dice on Gamora, and he's nothing if not consistent, I guess. And he is still using the Reality Stone, remember. Got her for 5 damage as well, but she's still on her feet. She has 1 health remaining, and she is holding a hammer, but she might want to run. Well, Gamora activated, sitting on 10 power. She immediately spent 2 for an Assassin's Leap, and this time flung herself into Thanos, who took no damage from the impact, and from her using that ability, neither does she. From there, though, she could move along twice around this end of the table, putting her in relative safety and also claiming that back in, I was going to say Infernal Console, that's not what it's called, Extremist Console. She paid 1 power at it as well to heal herself for 1. Oh, just as an addition, she did start within 1 of that console, or within 2 of it rather, and you can only interact with each objective once per turn, but she can presumably activate 2 Extremist Consoles in 1 turn if she moves between them, so she's actually spending another power and healing for an additional 1 that she should have done before moving, because there's no reason not to. So Proxima Midnight is the last activation in Battle Round 3 for the Black Order. She moved along over here roughly, well, she was roughly in the middle of the street. She chucked her spear once again at Agent Venom, and once again Agent Venom on his 2 defense dice took no damage. She still gets placed within 1 of him, but she isn't actually staying there, just kept her there for now to make the explanation easier. But she and Thanos are both coughing up 2 power each to make use of Mothership, which hopefully is in focus. So 2 Black Order characters can both spend 2, place one of the 2 characters who is not holding an objective token within 1 of the other. So she is getting teleported all the way over here to be within 1 of Thanos, and now is capping that back Extremist Console. Well, thanks to Agent Venom remarkably staying on his feet, Carol was free to move away from the Extremist Console over there as the last activation of the round. She moved twice down to here because Black Swan was not close enough to be claiming it anyway. She paid 3 or 2 to do, it's 3 I think, to do Danvers Special, which is all she had on her, to pick up Black Swan and just chuck her down the street. Get her as far away from it as possible and just try and make back some of the points I was going to say, but they're actually still ahead by 1, so just keep that lead ever so slightly, and even though they've lost some people, they might still come out on top. And that's going to take us to scoring for the round. So at the end of Battle Round 3, despite the Black Order getting a couple of extra bonus VP from taking out Peter and Rocket, they are still quite far behind. Gamora held onto that hammer, and so did Agent Venom despite everyone's efforts. So they gained 2 there. They hold this console, they hold that console, and they hold this console. So that took them all the way up to 14. For the Black Order, Thanos still has a hammer, and they hold that back console. So they gained 2, taking them up to 10. If they manage to take Gamora out, though, that could be 2, 1 for... Well, actually, no, she's not on her day side, is she? Ooh, who's on their day side? None of them. None of the surviving Guardians are on their day's side. So it's not looking great for the Black Order now, all of a sudden, thanks to the point gain there. The Guardians just need to hodl for a turn, essentially. Just cap a couple of victory points and they win. Because even if they spread themselves thin, the Black Order I don't think will generate enough. Either way though, they do get first activation again, so they can cause some pain. So we'll see what happens. So Corvus Glaive got battle round for Starlord, spent 3 on Death Blow, letting him count blanks as successes on his next strike, or whatever his other one's called. He did the basic strike though, on Agent Venom, and got him for 4, which was enough to daze him. He paid 1, because he had 2 health left. He paid 1 to pick up the dropped hammer, and then repositioned for his other action slightly, just to force Gamora or Captain Marvel to move a lot to get to him, or potentially get over to him to throw him away. He is on his flip side, so it would be easy for either of them to gain control of that console, but by backing up like that, he's going to have to force a double move from Carol. Gamora can probably make it with 1 long move and an Assassin's Leap, but we'll see if that's what she wants to do. Oh, before we move to the next activation, it was just remembered now that when Thanos spent on Mothership, it would have cost him 1 more power. He did end the turn with 1 spare power, but that has now been taken away because it should have been used since he was holding a hammer. Gamora activated because she pretty much had to, because Thanos and Proxima would be easy, or it would be easy for them rather, to track her down. So she did activate from where she was. She interacted with the console to heal for 1. She then had to double move. Assassin's Leap would not be good enough to clear the distance. So she just double moved down here and then also interacted with this console to heal another 1. So because Corvus is already gone, Corvus is on his wounded side, I don't think anyone else can get to her, which means they are securing 2 points there. And that would take them to... That would actually take them to the 16. I don't think she can be caught. I guess we'll see, because Thanos can at least teleport someone 2 forwards. Maybe he can get Proxima over here. It might, in hindsight, have been a big mistake to use Mothership. Well, Thanos activated and spent 2 immediately on Cosmic Portal to teleport Proxima 2 forwards. It's not exactly great, but 2 further forwards than she was. He then just moved into position to hold that portal because there's no way he's getting across to the other side of a table. All it comes down to is, can Proxima and Black Swan take out Gamora? They don't even need to get to the point, they just need to take her out. And with the healing she's been doing, she's back to 5 health remaining, so that is looking iffy. Either way though, it is over to, unless she decides to pass, Captain Marvel. Oh, it's a cheesy way to win, but it secures the win, so that's what's happening. Captain Marvel activated and she just ran away. She runs away all the way over here. Proxima will probably be able to get 1 hit in, because she moves long and then she can chuck her spear that's like 5 dice. Maybe not even against Gamora, but against Captain Marvel, and then she can place, but she's on her wounded side, I think. Oh no, actually, she's on her healthy side, but Captain Marvel has a hammer as well, so that's now a cluster of 3 victory points being gained. 2 hammers, 1 console. So I don't think there's any way between the 2 of them here to do anything. I think the chicken running away strat is what secures the victory 100% for sure. We'll give it a quick look and be back in a second. For the Black Order, sadly not. Black Swan's just moving there to hold that Extremist console, because why not? That's just after 1 long move for Proxima there. She's still outside of range 3, so in order to just save face and make it a bit closer, what she's actually going to do with her turn is move long twice round the building this way, just to get within 1 of that console there, just to make it a little bit closer. But yeah, they can't stop the Guardians winning. So let's just make it official here at the end of battle round for the Guardians. As stated, gained 3 victory points. They have 2 hammers and they are holding this console, 2 healthy characters, 1 wounded. So that's 3 victory points, taking them to 17 of the 16 needed to win. The Black Order though, Thanos is the other hammer and they have the other 3 consoles. So they gained 4, taking them to a very respectable 15. So they were only 1 away from hitting the minimum for winning as well. It was super close. They were very clearly winning the battle on the table. But when it came down to points, that is where they kind of got screwed. And I think it was down to that mothership play. I think that's what screwed it. Apologies for the quick interruption there. If you heard the noise in the background, that was my dog getting the zooms and just running around like a nutter. She's calmed down now, kind of. So as I was saying, yeah, I think that mothership play is what cost the game for the Black Order. Proxima still being over here meant they could have done a double activation with Corvus. That would have been an easy way to take out Agent Venom, get the hammer off of him, and maybe between them they could have just blocked the way. They still would have only had one of them on their healthy side, but that's still more to work with. It was just for the sake of securing 1 point at the end of the last turn that Mothership was used. In the end, obviously, the Guardians got 17 of the 16, so it wouldn't have made a difference really. But the Black Order were dominating the table. They were beating everyone up. Black Swan didn't have a good game, but Thanos was just kicking, you know what, constantly. Getting ridiculously good results on rolling a lot of dice. Agent Venom, though, still very much the MVP. He should have died 3 times over. Or dazed 3 times over. He was just taking hits to the face and living over and over and over. A very above average, not what you should expect from him every time, but still very good. The dog seems to want attention, so I will leave it at that and say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please do remember to show your support, and if you'd like to go above and beyond, consider becoming a channel member or pressing the thanks button. It's all reinvested in the channel and helps support what we do here. Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you next time. Ta-ta for now.